Yay! Welcome back to another episode with the Successful Spiritualpreneur podcast. Today, super excited to have a very special guest for you guys. Her name is Luna Hart, and her website is heartofhealth.com. And Luna is a expert all around women's fertility, women's womb wellness, as well as coaches people all around somatic experiencing, and also has group programs for all these things and specialities. So we're really excited to have her on the podcast today, and we're excited to chat about cycle charting, astrology a little bit, and also, of course, fertility coaching. So because everything with Luna is about the womb. Okay, so welcome to the podcast, Luna. And yes, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Christian. It's good to be here. Yeah.
Love it. All right. So, as since this is the Successful Entrepreneur podcast, we want to make sure people understand, your story, where you come from, and your journey on how you became the person you are today. So, if you could give us a brief overview of your background, your highlights, and some of your achievements in your own entrepreneurial journey, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. So, my business is a little bit of a reflection of my personal health journey. So, I help my clients in the same way that I helped myself through some pretty huge health challenges at a very young age. And yeah, I think, and I think this is kind of like a specialty for the people that you serve as bringing their, passions to the world, because as you can imagine, a healing journey and then making it a business, it has a lot of emotions and passion behind it. But really, like the broad stroke of the health journey was I had cyclical strep throat as a child, and my really beloved stepdad, who really thought he was doing the best he could at that time, he wanted to keep me out of the doctor's office, and specifically, they wanted to take my tonsils off, remove my tonsils, and I remember at a really young age, like, and I'm proud of my intelligence to know this, but I didn't want to have my tonsils removed. And his way to do that was to just put me on amoxicillin as if it was a vitamin throughout my whole growing up. And, flash forward, we know so much about proper antibiotic use these days. And we know that you can overdo it and you shouldn't just throw it at every single thing that you have. And really, unfortunately, what it was is I just, destroyed my immune system. I ended up destroying my gut. So I do specialize in gut health. And then eventually at age 21, I lost my cycle for a whole 7 years. And that's kind of like the prime years of a woman's fertility. And yeah, it was kind of like a dark time, because like this was literally almost like 2 decades ago. And I'm so grateful that there's more knowledge out there. But back in the day when I wasn't menstruating and I had like a laundry list of symptoms and just was hating life, hating being in my body, honestly didn't know if I was going to make it. People just wanted to continue to band aid my experience and not get to the underlying root cause of what was going on for me. So I had to be my own health advocate. I had to deeply dive in and educate myself on health and hormones and gut health, and eventually environmental toxins was a big part of my healing journey. And really just went through the process of healing myself over many seasons, many years. It took way too long, actually. And what I offer today is hopefully a more expedited journey to healing and getting back to the body, getting back to just loving your menstrual cycle, even actually claiming it as a superpower, and just enjoying being a woman and being a cyclical body, loving food. To be really honest, I was so sick at one time I didn't think I could eat anything. It was really scary. I have a really dear friend who knows me from that time period. She was like, oh yeah, she's like, I remember I was renting the room with you, and like you were gonna like cook for us, but then we realized you had like all these like food restrictions. And at the time, I think I was down to like 3 foods that I thought I could eat. And yeah, so I had to heal on a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level, and on a nervous system level. And that's, the nervous system piece was huge with the food sensitivities. And yeah, I would consider myself a survivor because I felt like I battled some horrific infections. Like, I actually had some kind of infection that even infectious disease specialists couldn't name. And it was like taking over my body. And yeah, I just, had to keep praying, and I had to stay diligent with my health protocols. And like I said, it was kind of a long journey, but I am 44, and I actually share like a lot about where I'm at now, which is quite balanced, quite resilient, actually. Like, that's always what I wanted, was resiliency. And yeah, even like, so I chart my cycle. I teach women how to chart their cycle and know that they're ovulating. And I ovulate every cycle. I have incredibly balanced hormones at age 44, and feel like I live a very symptom free life. So that's what I hope for my clients to receive. So,
Wow. Yeah. So you truly are, a health warrior, you know? You've went
well,
through so much, It's incredible, you know?
yeah.
And yeah, so, I think, one thing I really respect about your work is that, everything you do is just coming from so much of your own experience, right?
Mhm.
And what's interesting for me, or the question I have around that, is what made you, like, what in you made the decision to say, well, I'm gonna make this a business. I'm gonna help other people with this, versus just, yeah, I'm just gonna, figure it out for myself, and then that's it. But like, there's something extra. There needs to be an extra sort of passion there in order for that to happen. So, can you speak to that?
Yeah, and that was really clear in some of the darker moments, where it was like, okay, this really bad. And in the darker moments, the like light at the end of the tunnel was, this is going to be meaningful. This is going to help others. This is going to give me the information on how to heal so I can help others. It really was the light at the end of the tunnel. So.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, and I think so far, like, have you, like, what have people said that worked with you? Like, have you had, some positive experiences? Some, how is it when you transform somebody's life like that? Because I feel it's in a whole another level, you know?
Yeah, I feel like people just want to have someone that they trust and is like kind of looking in all directions for them. And sometimes it's like, really out of my wheelhouse, but I'm like actually helping refer them to right places if it's not in my wheelhouse of what they're experiencing. And I feel often, unfortunately with the medical system, is it's really blinders are on, and, it's just so quickly that they want to diagnose and treat with a medication. And to be honest, if they can't do that, then they don't know what you have, and they send you home, or they gaslight you and tell you that you're crazy, nothing's wrong with you. So I give a lot of compassion and empathy to my clients because I've been there, and
Mm,
I can be like, okay, I understand you're feeling this way, and can help them navigate. And really, I think a big part of my job too is getting people to trust themselves and trust their bodies again and trust their intuition. And I really try to hone on their intuition and mine alongside of functional lab work, also looking at cycle charts, but really kind of pulling it all together, to know the best path forward to heal.
wow. Yeah, that's powerful, and I think when you help people that way to empower themselves, it's just something that's so, I don't know, so fulfilling, because it's not something that creates a dependency. I think that's really, and how you do it also, I think is such, it's so soft, it's so feminine, it's so like we massage it out, we sit it out together. It's like a very trusting, compassionate space that you invite your clients into, which I very respect, and I think is incredible. What trust can do when people feel safe. I had this conversation with my friend 2 years ago in Costa Rica, and we were just like, you know what? I think enlightenment is just being safe.
Mm, gosh, that's true.
Because
Yeah.
when you feel safe, like wherever in your life you are, whether you're a billionaire or you're just starting out or whatever you are, like when you feel safe, you can take the next step, whatever that next step is for you. So I think the fact that you provide that space for, the people you work with is like crucial. So I want to
Mm,
honor you for that. I think it's very, very, very beautiful.
mm. Thank you.
So, my next question would be how long have you had your online presence, and when did you decide to create a website or a landing page for yourself? Like, when did that all start?
Yeah, it was 2015, and I created my website on Squarespace with a friend in a coffee shop because we didn't have good internet where I was living. And it was pretty rustic, and it worked. I actually started to do like my first thing to offer was like a spring cleanse, and I still do this cleanse today. And I actually have people who did it back with me in 2015 that did it with me last year. So it's kind of cute. It's my low ticket, like just hop in, let's do some work together. But yeah, so that worked and it was functioning. People bought things, the opt-in didn't work. It was like really, really, things worked and some things didn't work. But in some ways, I was proud because it was like, kind of like, okay, let's just get this off the ground and start offering something. And then I did do some deeper training in 2019. That's when I became a functional health practitioner and learned how to read functional lab work. And that's where like my business went from the back burner to the front burner, and like everything else dissipated that I was doing. And that's where I started to get really annoyed with my website and just be like, like not super proud of this. And it's interesting. I'll be honest. I worked with a couple business coaches that they were like, whatever, websites don't matter. And I have to disagree, Christian. Like, I feel like such a huge up leveling in my business since I redesigned everything with Love Pixel, to be honest. Like, it really catapulted my business in such a big way. So, and that was, I guess, beginning of last year that we did that a year ago. So,
Yeah, beautiful. I'm really happy to hear that. And I think just like anything in life, it's just energetics, right? And I
mm,
think a website, oftentimes when we create that with, our clients, it's just such a rebirth and such a big energetic overhaul when you kind of like when you're ready to like invest yourself in that way, you just like, yeah, something's telling me I need to have something solid, something that really, yeah, so it's that own self reflection of your energy that's becoming now a digital manifestation of you, which is your website, right? And you're just like, yeah, I'm ready for something solid. And then usually it's just like whoosh, so many new pathways open up. So that's really cool to hear. Thank you.
mm.
And I had another question about your website, online presence, and brand. Like, when was the first time you started thinking about a brand? Like I want to actually have these colors and these fonts. Like, was that something with the Squarespace site already that was just like, yeah, for sure, these colors and these fonts? It was just, you know what, black and white. I'm starting with black and white and some pictures, and then later down the road, I was like, no, you know what, I think it needs to be more branded, everything differently positioned.
Think I did a logo, yeah, in 2019. So that was kind of when I was doing the additional training. So I just finally had like more of an official logo that I just plopped on the website. But the overall website did not have branding. Of course, it had like a storyline and stuff like that, but it didn't have the feel of like a continuity throughout the website.
So for somebody who's just starting out, or doesn't really have an online brand, what is there any tips or strategies you recommend for developing an authentic online presence?
Work with you.
Ah,
uh,
you're so sweet.
but yeah, no, I think getting help is great. I think I do recommend getting help. I mean, yeah, for me, like, I think that's why I didn't have it before, because I couldn't really like I had a feel for it, like I could tangible kind of tangibly touch it. And then I knew I wanted I knew what feel I wanted, but what it actually looked like and was going to be on a website, I had no idea. So I do feel like getting professional help is wise.
Cool. Okay. And how do you think, is it like from, a scale from 1 to 10, how important do you think a website is in somebody's business? Whether they're starting out, I mean, of course, for people who are established, that's clear. But when you start out, you think, should people first kind of like build traffic in an audience, or first kind of have a website? Like, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I think it's all about where you're coming in at. If finances are tight and you just need to get off the ground, I mean, I did get off the ground. I was functioning business, for many years on a really horrible website, and it worked. Like, people still signed up for with me, but I think, when you're ready to really truly invest. And also for me, like, even like that investing in my business was like, oh yeah, just gave me more permission to even know my self-worth and my work, on some level. So like, even like, notice myself feeling more comfortable raising my prices, which, so with healthcare, I do have this edge of like, this should be free for everyone, but like, it just gave me more permission knowing the quality of work that I was providing. Um, and yeah, it gave me a sense of confidence for sure. So I would say when people are ready to, take it to that next level, like, the website is so important. I feel so.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like an important energetic milestone again, just like, kind of tying into the last question. It's like it's that energetic milestone that kind of like manifests it more. Um, so let's talk a little bit about your offerings. How many offerings do you currently kind of like roughly have, and um, what are the kind of like different price points with these things, just so people can get an idea of like, well, you've been in business now for 8 years. Is that correct?
I consider like the since it was on the front burners, kind of more the like true start, and that was 2019, and that's when I became a functional health practitioner. So
Got it. So like
Heart of Health
four,
has been around
5
since
years.
2015, but yeah.
Got it. So let's say 4 or 5 years since you've been, taking it serious, so to say. What are the offer suite, the kind of like value ladder, if you will, that you can take people through, if they're willing to, invest in themselves and, explore, your services.
Yeah. Well, I like to do a couple low ticket things throughout the year. So I do like a spring cleanse that's $33, just to get people engaging with me, getting great results. It's kind of also like a place of community service. So I love doing that. And then I usually, and probably this fall, will do like even another group that's like kind of a medium ticket group program. I haven't set the price for that yet, but it will include some lab work, in a group container. And then, I did just complete like an evergreen learn to track your cycle, 6 modules, and that's going to be I'm just launching that, so that feels really good. That's like $111, 6 module learn to track your cycle educational, program. And then I have my core of my work, which is my one-on-one work, and I work with people everywhere from 3 months to a year. And I think my prices are probably still really crazy, crazy low comparative to people doing something similar. And I do have like a kind of a range, and some of the packages include lab work and programs and um, welcome gifts. So it's like it's not all like, there's different things in each package, so it's hard to itemize that. But I would say I'm spanning everywhere from 1,000 to 6,000 per one-on-one package at this point. So
Got it. Okay, great. And let's talk a little bit about tools and platforms and technologies that you use to kind of facilitate that in your business. And so let's talk about the platform that you use for for your website first, and then we can go into like email marketing and other online course and platforms that you use.
yeah, so WordPress for the website, and yeah, I'm starting to find my way around. So that's good. And then for my client management system is Keep, which is can be a little challenging. I don't highly recommend it, but at this point, it's so a part of me that I'm not going to personally change. And I think obviously I don't really know what this is going to grow into. So I'm kind of glad there's room to grow with a system like that. And then I use Biocanic. Have you ever heard of Biocanic?
No.
I think it's more in my zone. It's for practitioners like me, but it's my outward facing system, which house like all my clients' lab work. It itemizes their labs and like summarizes the findings. It also is the place where I make supplement recommendations and protocols, and it's also where I can move the programs. So, like the fertility awareness masterclass, the cycle charting program is all on there. So, yeah, and it houses like my questionnaires and all sorts of things like that.
Cool. I like that. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
sounds like that's really good for, the wellness health, practitioner niche. That's really cool. I've
Yeah.
never heard of that. Um, what I want to talk a little bit more about these tools. What do you like and don't you like about WordPress? Because, all platforms have pros and cons. So I really want to, open the conversation to just like have an honest conversation about these platforms. Be like, yeah, this I didn't like, but this I like about it. And so, yeah, what do or don't you like about WordPress, working with WordPress?
I haven't done too much, to be honest. I mean, I've had my website for just a year. I'm just actually starting to put the program on there and also get my cleanse up. But and then the most that I do is right now is just uploading blogs. And the thing with the blogs that I find just a little tricky is like it doesn't give you much room to like center some of the text and maybe use a different font or a different color. And maybe you can, but I find it like really challenging. Just even the blog uploading, I had more options even in Squarespace to just kind of make it look pretty. So that's maybe just because I don't know how to use it quite well. So that's really all. I wouldn't say I'm a WordPress. Like I could use support still. So yeah.
Cool. And what do you think about Keep? What do you like or don't you like about Keep?
Well, the greatest thing I like about Keep is it was really handed down to me from one of my business teachers who's also another practitioner. And I feel grateful that I'm kind of like, I get their support. I do pay for it, but like I get constant like, check-ins and like ways to optimize my system. And thank goodness they're like staying on the pulse of all the changes. So I would say Keep on my own would have been a total disaster. The reason why Keep is successful for me is because I have a community backing me with Keep, and we're all doing the same thing. So together we're figuring out how to use the system the best for our businesses.
Got it. Yeah, so here, note maybe at this on this point to wherever you're struggling within your business, maybe try to join a Facebook group, or even, maybe sometimes, the platforms themselves have some sort of community platform, but a lot of times it helps to join those, Facebook groups or communities to kind of figure out your little problems. So that's really cool. And as the next questions, I wanted to ask a little bit more about, how you manage to kind of like what makes you successful in your business, right? Like, why do you think your business is successful? Did you grow an audience? Um, did you grow an email list, or what do you think made you successful over the years?
Uh, Really amazing referrals. I owe my whole business to referrals, and yeah, I do take good care of my referral partners, offering commission. But I think they're also just really referring me. A lot of my referral partners are past clients or people who know me really well and can just feel very comfortable referring their clients or their friends or their family members to me. So yeah, I would say 95% of my business is just a really strong referral base.
Great. Yeah, and that's the best type of, customers, because they come with such a high level of trust. So it's really great to have that.
Mhm.
Perfect. And in terms of social media, are you very active on social, or just, maybe not very active? What's your, social landscape look like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not crazy, but like I do post like 5 times a week. And
That's pretty crazy.
is that pretty crazy? Okay. Like I know people who do 2 times a day, and like so I'm like, and I'll take time off. But yeah, and I do get some people through Instagram at this point too. I really love Instagram more, but I also post on Facebook. I don't feel like I'm as engaged on Facebook. Yeah, I have a LinkedIn profile that I don't really use. But like Instagram, I get on at least like during the weekdays every day.
Cool. And what type of content do you post on there?
All sorts of stuff. Right now, I am talking about fertility awareness and cervical fluid and basal body temperature. I actually had my first post taken down um,
Interesting. Why is that?
because I was showing cervical fluid. I guess you can't do that. Um, but yeah,
Interesting, yeah.
and I talk about gut health a bunch. I talk about environmental toxins. Yeah, just hormones, coming off birth control. I talk about the lab work and I share my lab work. Last year, I had a great time like doing all the tests on my body and actually showing it to the world and showing them what I found and like how like this has been a process to get to this place. And then I also just love to do IG lives every once in a while. So yeah, just kind of a little bit of everything.
And what do you talk about on your IG lives? Like, what do you think are good topics? They just come to you, or you think these are kind of like my three pillars I always talk about, or is there anything that guides you there?
Yeah, I think we're just I go intuitive with it, and so I have one coming up. We're going to talk about the preconception journey. And it's another practitioner that I'm going to be slightly interviewing because that is part of my zone is supporting women with their bodies before they actually embarking on trying to get pregnant, whether they're having fertility challenges or not. And this practitioner actually, she's been in that journey and kind of struggling. And I wanted her to come on the IG live and just share her journey. She's had a few miscarriages, so talking about pregnancy loss, and we're just going to get into what she's personally doing to try to optimize her fertility. And I'm going to share some insights also. So we're doing that one on March 1st. And that's all I have scheduled right now. But
Cool. That's
yeah.
great. Um, so I think the next question is really gonna have no problems with it because you are already so authentic. But how do you maintain authenticity in like, connect personally with your audience, like especially on social media and, posting, et cetera, et cetera.
I think, yeah, as an extreme introvert, when I first embarked, like even like back in 2015, when I first started the website and trying to put myself out there, it was kind of like the door opened and then I shut it and I was like, oh my God, like, no, just like it was kind of scary to be online. And I had to like actually just get to a place eventually where I wanted this business so bad that I just didn't care anymore. And it was just time. And you got to allow yourself to not be perfect. If you're putting on a mask and a persad that like you have it all together all the time and like it's always perfect, you're always showing up just glowing, then it's that's not what people want. People want to know you're a real person dealing with real things. And then also like it was helpful just to start sharing my journey. And I find that a lot of people really gravitate towards that and are grateful to hear about a success, a health success. And yeah, I think those two things, like letting go of being perfect and just being more vulnerable with my actual shares, have been helpful.
Beautiful. Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm also, in the process of, building a personal brand apart from agency, of course. And I see how sometimes when you get in this mode of like, oh, I have to create content now, it's like kind of like it's sometimes annoying, but then again, if you just don't do it, then you just don't do it. So for me, the question is like, what is a good balance? Like, is there any tool you use to support you on this journey? Or I mean, for me, for example, the three topics I'm most passionate about is, website branding. That's one kind of like pillar that I love to talk about. Then I have tea. I love tea. I always have tea with me when I drink, when I design, when I do anything. I love tea. And then number three is spirituality. That's why spiritualpreneur podcast. Um, but yeah, like what do you suggest for like what could be a cool, how can you be consistent with content without getting it too scripted or too like you know how do you keep the excitement in the content? I guess a good question.
Well, I have to just plug Loredana a little bit. I mean, her program was really amazing. I felt like that helped a lot. Like, I think sometimes, obviously, getting a business coach that's also a visionary can be really supportive for you to just kind of dust off whatever you're holding, and just reminding yourself what you're doing and why you're doing it. Um, Microdosing has been really helpful. I have a microdosing practice, especially if I am going to write content. Sometimes that is a really good time for me to hone in and use some plant allies. Um, and then, just having space, obviously. Like, I think these things of being creative don't happen if we're constantly in the go, go, go mode. You have to actually plug it into your calendar and say, hey, this
Hmm.
is the space for creation. So
Yeah, that's beautiful. And so you do have that. You have that scheduled once a week or something like that. You sit down for 2 hours and write a blog post. It's always Wednesdays or Thursdays or something like that. And
yeah, I'm doing like I think I implemented more clarity around doing the work with Laura Dawn. But yeah, Mondays. Mondays are my good days. Fridays too, and I'm just actually seeing clients Tuesday through Thursday. So I just kind of like create more space for writing and then also admin work on Mondays and then a little bit on Friday. So
cool. I like that. And what's your favorite tea? Random question.
I mean, I love matcha. Like, I'm definitely like, little matcha fan. Yeah, I also like herbally, I like roasted dandelion and burdock a lot.
Beautiful. Yeah.
What's your favorite
Those,
tea?
those are great choices. My all-time favorite tea is Japanese Fukamushi Sencha. So it's a deep steamed Japanese green tea, basically. So it tastes very, very vegetable, very green, very grassy. I love that kind of
Mm,
like freshness of the green tea. Yeah,
amazing.
I know.
Um,
It's exciting. Um, so okay, cool. And with the matcha, I want to say that one secret tip or trick with the matcha I always do is like I put my milk or whatever I use with the matcha. If you not drinking it pure, I always put that in the frother,
mhm.
right? And I also like on the bottom, I put a little bit of water with the matcha. Then I, press the frother, um, and then it just mixes it really good because you can do it with the whisk, right? With the bamboo whisk, which works. But the frother works amazing. No clumps, and then you put the milk on top. Boom, amazing.
I'll try that.
So maybe if you have a frother, try that. If you don't have a frother, get a frother. Changed my life.
Okay.
Like I put all kinds of stuff in the frother. I put like vanilla pudding sometimes to just like make the powder in there with the liquid. Oh my God, I put everything in the frother. Mud water is very popular these days.
Mhm.
And there's also something called Everyday Dose, which is matcha by Tenzo Tea. Tenzo is like a American matcha brand. They get their stuff from Japan too. Um, of course, where else? And but they put in collagen and other stuff into in like different mushrooms,
Mm,
like reishi mushrooms. So if you're curious about a different type of matcha, try Everyday Dose.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes
and
sense. I
then
do like
mud
add
water, I
things
think too.
in with my matcha. That's kind of my style. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I love tea. Okay, we're gonna just talk about tea in the next 15 minutes. I love it. Um, yeah, also, I'm so excited about tea. I even started my own Amazon brand. It's called One with Tea. So I started that last year, and then we ordered, I think it was 100 kilo worth of tea from Japan, Japanese sencha fukamushi, which is my favorite. It's like, start with one product, kind of make that big, and then see where that leads. And they actually took it down because I had in the description saying can prevent cancer. So Amazon took down the product, and now I have to restart again, new SKU, Amazon number, blah blah blah. The whole shebang. Lost all the reviews, but it's part of the journey. And I think
Mm,
it kind of like that. It's like the lesson in business, like or in life. It's like if you want something so bad, it just doesn't matter. Like you could take that tea down as often as you want. Like I'm gonna put my tea back up there because I just love tea. I think it's really something that brings me into the present moment and
mm,
centers myself. Like in my life, everything's about love, and tea brings this element of presence, right?
mhm, mhm.
So yeah, beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Love
Um, yeah. Um, Okay, cool. So for the last couple minutes that we have here for our podcast, I would love to know any type of, you know, work-life balance tips and tricks, routines, hacks, some herbs, some, secret this, secret that you take, maybe some supplements, anything that you have cooking over there.
it. Well, I think we all have our different outlets. I mean, I think it's just so important that we have our places to let go. I have a three-person infrared sauna right there, so that's staring me in the face and is definitely a huge resource for me as a highly sensitive individual, and through my health journey. So that's been a good ally.
What does infrared do? Sorry to stop you there, but a lot of times people they hear red light, infrared, but like what does it actually do? And I think you might know. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely penetrates deeper into the body. The waves actually can penetrate into the organs and actually help you detox on a visceral level. And a lot of people experience that. The other thing that's nice about infrared is it's like heating you at kind of a lower temperature and you're getting a full body sweat, like waterfall style, but you're not like roasting at like 180 degrees. It's more like 130. So it's kind of nice for people who run hot or like, maybe have more of a fiery constitution. Um, but yeah, a lot of people, they'll say like I'll put them in there and they'll like go to the bathroom and feel like they like peed out something, like their pee really stinks, or the body odor smells a little differently afterwards. And it does like just it goes in really deep and gets you to like kind of really sweat some toxins out. So I do that at least once a week. So that's important.
Beautiful.
Um,
Number
yeah.
one, infrared. Okay.
Infrared.
What else?
Um, for me, I mean, I personally work online. I stare at screens a lot, and just getting outside is so crucial. So I make sure at least once a day I'm outside, hopefully staring at the sun, getting sun on my face, walking my dog, and maybe taking that longer hike. At least doing like 30-minute walk, even if it's cold. So being outside is just super, super crucial. Um, and then along that same lines, I think also getting offline and being with people. So, I'm happy that I do have some work that I participate in that's, more in person work. And then, also just going out, dancing or going to my Pilates classes, just going out and being with people, doing things active with people seem to be important balance. For being an online entrepreneur.
Beautiful. Um, let's talk about a question that just came through, and that is, what is a good substitute for coffee? Like, I mean, other than tea, obviously. Is there any like herbal things that you recommend, like other than green and black tea, because obviously those are very caffeinated. But what is a good substitute for coffee if somebody's looking to maybe substitute 1 cup a day or something like that? What's something that could be good?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are using caffeine because their adrenals are fried. So, as a functional health practitioner, it's always getting to the root cause, which is really assessing the amount of stress you have currently in your life and realizing that you do have a capacity. You can only take on a certain amount of stress before you need to move into that more parasympathetic and allow your body to integrate and rest and restore and regenerate. So I would just, that is number one always, is assessing stress. And then sometimes it is just improving your energy and which is a hormone. Called cortisol. And it's like really the minute we wake up, cortisol is supposed to be rising in the day and then cruising down and decreasing into the night. And so, how to improve cortisol during the day is getting that movement and sun in the morning. I've had clients who had like cortisol that was like just flat, like they weren't having an awakening response, we call it. And just by including movement and sunlight on the skin in the morning, they were able to improve their adrenals and their cortisol production. And then similar, it's like you have to also improve that ability to wind down into the evening and getting off the screens, getting off the blue lights, allowing the house to dim and allowing yourself to rest more when it's dark outside. So I think just actually that there's a really great adaptogens like ashwagandha and stuff like that, but really just improving your adrenals by addressing stress and improving your just natural energy production in the day. So,
Beautiful. Yeah, I think that's very helpful. Even I have tested myself, and my adrenals are definitely like fatigued for sure.
mm.
Um, so that's super helpful. I appreciate that. And yeah, that's super helpful advice. Okay, so for the last couple of minutes of this podcast, I'd love to get your, opinion on what's your future vision with your business? Is there anything new you're thinking of starting? Uh, Anything you see in the coaching industry or in the wellness industry that you see is kind of like up and coming for people to kind of like, somebody wants to stay on the trend, so to say. And yeah, what are you looking to call in for yourself?
Yeah, and if I was just gonna like just think big would be, I've had a retreat vision since I was in high school. And it's like evolved. Like I had it when I was in college, and then like, even lived on 150 acres where I actually actualized a retreat for a period of time in Northern California, and was actually assisting people in like deep dive cleanses. Like I would consider the cleanses that I was providing were quite heroic cleanses, where people would stay with me for 7 days. And it was just a good taste of that. I have a natural like hostess in me. And I also think, just really honestly, with the rapid movement of I just do wonder what online presence is going to be. I saw a local practitioner here share a cloned image of himself talking. It was an AI generated, somebody generated an image of him talking, and it looked just like him. It was a little glitchy, like you could tell that it was a robot, like a image, but like it's kind of like, there's going to be a moment when we're, on social media and we're going to be like, is this Luna or is this AI, So I think at a certain point, I think the in-person engagements and retreat style settings are going to be the most crucial to be in. So that's hopefully like the bigger vision for the future.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's also the purpose of this podcast is like to be hang out with people. I mean, even though it's virtual, it's like we're spending time together and we're having a connection, right? And other people are listening or watching this, and they get something out of that, of this authenticity, of this like unscripted talking, right? Um, so it's a fascinating field. Like we use a lot of AI in our agency, especially ChatGPT for copywriting, et cetera, et cetera. We always refine it, obviously, with somebody else's or that person's essence. Um, but for sure, I think in 5 years we're gonna have a lot of AI avatars talking to us online, and yeah, it's just crazy because they're going to be very perfect and they know exactly what to do, and it's good, but like at some point there's like a disconnect. It's like, wow, how can you be so perfect? But then you're like, it's going to be very interesting, like to see the socio political changes that come with AI. Very, very interesting.
The interesting thing with that practitioner that I was telling you about is the AI was saying things that weren't true. So that
Mm,
was like the edge. It's like, not only like is it generating like something that looked just like him speaking, but it was saying things that he would never say, like that were not true. So that's a little edgy. But we'll get through it. We'll figure our ways out. And yeah, just remembering human connection is important.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So last question. What what key piece of advice would you give any spiritual entrepreneurs, whether they're starting out or already established? Like, what's the one thing that you should take into account when becoming a spiritual entrepreneur?
Oh, such a good question. I would just say that it's not going to be easy necessarily. I mean, creating the business of your dreams, you have to face all the parts of yourself that you doubt, any places that are holding you back. And really, truly, there's going to be highs and lows, and you just have to ride them smoother. And that's what I feel like, even now when I'm like, 4 or 5 years into my business, it's like, oh, it's a slow month. Okay, great. Let's just sit back and enjoy it. While, I can have the big months that just like totally, totally take care of my year almost, So I do feel like that is part of being an entrepreneur. And at first, it's not the steady paycheck that maybe someone's used to, but it is worth it in the end, in my eyes, because I do create my reality. I am doing my passion work. I get to create my schedule. I get to go to Costa Rica in a couple weeks. And this is all because I've created this life and this business. So
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and your experience and your heart with us on this podcast. And yeah, thank you, Luna.
Welcome, Christian.